Somebody stole my gal. Somebody stole my pal. Somebody came and took her away. She didn't even say she was leaving the kisses I loved so. He's getting now, I know. And gee, I know that she would come to me if she could see her broken-hearted, lonesome pal. Somebody stole my gal. That's Somebody Stole My Gal by Leo Wood, and I'm going to teach you how to play it on the baritone ukulele. We're in the key of C, and none of the chords in this are too tricky, though towards the end I will show you some alternative positions you can use to get more of a swingy sound as opposed to a ringing out sound like that, and you can play around with those. We're in the key of C, so I'm going to start off with the C chord, and I'm going to play that C with my little finger down on the 3rd fret of the E string as well. So rather than just 2 fingers, I've got 3 fingers down. It's a nice sound, but in a moment we're going to move to a diminished chord, and that finger will be on the right string, and it might help you form that chord, and it sounds great. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Take off those first 2 fingers, slide your little finger down, and place the first 3 fingers back to form a C diminished 7, which is 1, 2, 1, 2. And then we're going to go just for 2 beats, then we're going to go to a G7 for 2 whole bars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then on the next line, we get another 2 bars of G7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, before we go back to C. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. On the next line we have an A7, and I'm playing that as a little 2nd fret bar here. 2, 2, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, and another 4 beats of that one. Then a D7. 2, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And just like before when we had the G7 on the first line that carried on onto the second line, same thing happens here. So from the 3rd line to the 4th line, we keep playing D7 for another 2 bars. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then G7. 2 bars. That's the first part of the tune. In this tune, the second part lasts longer than the first part, which is a little bit unusual. So here's that first part of the song. See if you can play it with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Somebody stole my gal. Somebody stole my pal. Somebody came and took her away. She didn't even say she was leaving. And what I did at the beginning was I stopped on the first beat of that G7 and just let the song go along just with the vocal. Say she was leaving. 3, 4. So that's 2 whole bars just with the vocals. Then we go into the next part of the tune. The next part of the tune starts off the same. So we have our C, and then half a bar of C, slide down to the 1st fret, make the C diminished 7 for 2 beats, G7 for 2 bars. Then on the next line, we have G7 for 2 bars again, but this is where the second part shoots off in a different direction. It goes to an E7 for 2. Then back to C, 2 bars. Then we make the C into a C7 by putting our ring finger down on the 3rd fret of the G string. Then an F barred at the 1st fret for 2 bars. Then we just take off our 2nd finger, providing you're barring all the way across. If you're barring your F like that, just covering 2 strings, then when you lift this finger off, you're going to have to make sure that that bar goes across 3 strings. But if you're barring all the way across, you can just take off that 2nd finger. So we have F for 2 bars, F minor for 2 bars, and then back to C, 2 bars, D7, 2 bars, then for the only time in the tune, D minor 7, open 2, 1, 1, little bar there. It's a bit like your F chord but without the ring finger. 1 bar, G7 for 1 bar, and C for 2 bars. Let's see if we can do the second part of the tune. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. The kisses I loved so, he's getting now. I know, that's the E7. C and G. I know that she, make it a C7, would come to me, F to F minor, if she could see her broken hearted, lonesome pal. Somebody stole my gal. And there you have it. That's all there is to it. You go round and round and round as many times as you need to. What did I do at the end? I did a little slide from a 4th fret bar to a 5th fret bar. That 5th fret all the way across with 1 finger is a C6. We're in the key of C, so C6 is a lovely way to end the song. I did say though I'd show you some other chord shapes that you can use if you want to try and get more of that swing rhythm. With my right hand, all I'm doing is going most of the time down, 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 down. What I'm trying to do is mute the chord so it's nice and short and snappy. And also I'm trying to emphasize a little bit beats 2 and 4. So what I'm actually doing is a small strum that only catches 1 or 2 strings, and then a big strum, and then a small one, then a big one. So if I don't do any muting, we get this. Not really worried about how many strings I'm catching on the small one. It's like a little bounce, and then a big strum. And that's so much better than just hearing all of the chords on the same volume. It's even better if I can do this. So what I'm doing there is I'm playing an F chord because that's got no open strings, and I'm doing the little bounce, and then when I do the big strum, I take the pressure off with my left hand thumb, which mutes the strings a little. I let that one ring if I want to, but then. Or you can mute the little first one as well. Up to you, but just to keep some kind of control over it. Now that's difficult if you've got chords such as G7 and E7 that have got loads of open strings in them. You can more or less get the effect if there's 1 open string in there because 3 of them are going to be doing it, and if you're going along at speed it's not going to be too much of a problem. But that one you end up having to try and bring these fingers, which is what I was doing at the start, to mute the strings, which is a lot more difficult than just taking the pressure off with your thumb. So how about some different chord inversions? Instead of that G7 there, why not play a bar here? I'm barring the 3rd, and then I'm putting my 2nd finger on the 4th fret of the G string. And that means my first little part of the song will go C, diminished, and then instead of, and then I go back to my C chord, A7, that's already a bar chord. Now I could do this D7 down here, maybe I'd have to mute the D string, which is a shame because it's a nice note in the chord, but I can probably get away with that because that bass note will ring out and those 3 will be nice and short. But if I did want another one, what I could do is I could go up to the 3rd fret. Now in this tune a bit later on we're going to do a C7 like that, which is just our C. I had my little finger down and I put that on the 3rd fret of the G string. If I slide that up so that my index finger's on the 3rd fret, that is a D7, but a nice controllable one. And what comes after the D7? G7. Well, I can go back to that other bar G7 just there. So let me play the first half of the tune using those. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice and controlled. In the second part of the tune, we've got a lot of the same chords, so we can go C, just like before, now G7 at the 3rd fret. Now we need an E7. So we've not got this big ringy one here. Well, we can do this. If we take our D7 and move it up 2 frets, well, we're almost there, but this bottom string hasn't moved up, so we have to refinger it so it looks like this. 2nd fret, 4th fret, 3rd fret, 4th fret. And that's an E7. It's nice and controllable. Then we get to this next bit, no problem. C, C7, the F to the F minor, that's fine. No open chords. And right at the end we can do the C. We can go up to that, the one that looked like a C7 but 2 frets higher for our D7 that we had before. Now this can be a bit tricky, but if you can take that shape and leave those 2 fingers and just put a bar down on the 3rd fret, you'll have a D minor 7. Then you can leave the bar there and go to the G7 we had before and then down to the C. So we end up with this. C, D7, D minor 7, G7, C. So that barred one might be a bit tricky, and if you can't manage that one, you can still do that one. It's only going to happen once in the song, but it's a nice way of going from D7 to D minor 7 to G7 to C. It's a really fun song to play on the baritone. It works really nice in the key of C, and actually a lot of these chords are not particularly difficult if you have a friend who plays soprano, concert or tenor, something in G, C, E, A tuning. They could probably play these chords as well. It's nice on both instruments, nothing too scary, and you could play it together. One of you playing baritone, one of you playing a G, C, E, A tuned ukulele. I hope you've enjoyed this one, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.